Well, hi everyone. This is going to be a little bit hard for us, and we've just spent 2 minutes fiddling with the IT because camera's gone funny. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We tonight wanted to pay our respects and share our stories of the wonderful times we've had meeting Dr. John McDougall and following his advice over many, many years. And I'm not quite sure how we're going about this, but we just wanted to spend 10 or 20 minutes just sharing what comes into our minds with the passing of Dr. John McDougall at the age of 77. And I know for me personally, when I woke up this morning and read the news, it was the thought that he wasn't going to be out there anymore, you know, making comment. He's always been out there and passing comment on what was happening in the nutrition world. And you always felt like he was a resource that you could contact, you could, watch Chef AJ or the McDougall webinars and hear the latest and what he thought about particular things in nutrition. And knowing that he's gone is really, really sad. And then it's having met his family and knowing how much he dearly loved his wife, Mary, and how she will be missing him is really sad. Anyway, we will just start talking about how we came to know Dr. John McDougall.
I think I came across one of Dr. McDougall's books. One of these ones might have been this one, actually, McDougall's Medicine. Must have been in a year or two after it was written, like in the 1980s, when I was involved with the Pritikin Health Association in Adelaide. Interestingly, the introduction to this book is written by Nathan Pritikin. So that was my first knowledge, and I thought McDougall was a bit out there, like at that point, and later on, I came to realise that, yeah, he is out there, but as Jenny will attest, he was very knowledgeable and well informed by the published medical literature. So when McDougall would make sort of out there statements and things, it was reliable information.
So I think he first came to my attention watching the film Forks Over Knives, which we finally got our hands on in Australia. Might have been Christmas 2011 when we got the DVDs sent over for the wrong region and had to go and get a special DVD player to play them, and certainly introduced to him there. But it was really 2014 when he came to my attention. I had done the T. Colin Campbell's E. Cornell course, and I was looking for a way of becoming more knowledgeable and hopefully sharing my knowledge with more people around me. And so it was in, I think, May 2014, I signed up for his Starch Solutions Certificate course, and I found that amazing. It wasn't live with him, but you had plenty of contact with the McDougall office, and there was hours and hours of presentations, and we had to do an exam at the end of it. And that coincided with us also deciding we would go to our first Dr. John McDougall adventure holiday in Costa Rica. And I think we were incredibly excited flying to Costa Rica about meeting Dr. John McDougall. But what we'd underestimated was that the whole 7-day holiday, what was fantastic was being with, 70, 80 other people. And I can't remember how many were that first one, who were all on the same journey, passionate and intelligent people who were following his program. And we've got, the photo of us first meeting him and how excited we were, but it was actually being introduced to, the wealth of knowledge. And that was, so 2014 Costa Rica was the first meeting. And it was Do you want to tell the story about it? Was not too many months later we met him again, but Malcolm has a story to tell about the Pritikin tapes.
Oh, yes. While we were at Costa Rica, there was plenty of time to interact with Dr. McDougall. And at one stage I said, oh, Nathan Pritikin. I said, the Pritikin Health Association back in Adelaide in the late 80s. Yeah, we had some cassette tapes. I might still have them of presentations by Nathan Pritikin. And McDougall's eyes up, oh, you've got some presentation tapes. Oh, I've never seen any of those. And
no, he'd lost them. He'd had them and he'd lost them.
He'd lost them. Anyway, so we went home at the end of that holiday. And it was only a few months later, we're back this time in the USA for the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference, which was in San Diego. And Dr. McDougall was speaking at that conference. And it must have been several occasions he'd walk by me in the corridor or outside the presentation hall, and he'd sort of be, have you found those tapes yet? Have you found those tapes yet? And I'd looked, and I'd gone to my family home and had it rummaged around, and I couldn't find them anywhere. Anyway, so I made a long, international call to someone who'd been in the Pritikin Health Association with me in Adelaide. Hey, Ken, have you got those tapes? Hey, those tapes. Anyway, in the end, Ken posted them to me, and when I got home, I had them converted to MP3 and sent the files to Dr. McDougall. And you can go to his website and you'll find the lost tapes of Nathan Pritikin. I highly recommend the first lecture.
The other thing that was really significant for us in 2014 was that it was during the Costa Rica week that Dr. McDougall developed the plan for the colour picture book. He'd announced that he was never writing another book, and that all he would do was write the colour picture book. And it actually followed. The week before we went to Costa Rica was the Time magazine had a cover saying "Butter is back." So that was the first of the really big push from the dairy industry to publish science, have people publish science to cast doubt over whether saturated fat was a problem. And so McDougall was on fire that week, and also at the conference in San Diego several months later, he was still on fire and gave one of the most passionate talks I've ever seen.
Here's the colour picture book. He said, I won't publish another book, and the publisher said, okay, what about if I put your colour picture book in the middle of it? And he agreed. He agreed to that.
Well, the light's just gone a bit improved.
Yeah, the light's gone back to normal.
I don't know what was wrong with the light before. And only a few months later, early 2015, the light's gone again. I had the good fortune to accompany my mother to his adventure holiday in Hawaii. And again, a very special event with however many people there were, maybe 80, maybe 100, who were, some different people to what we'd met in Costa Rica, and it was just so exciting. And there's one memory that really stands from that visit. Was one morning we were lingering after breakfast round the table, and we'd had the pleasure of having breakfast with John and Mary McDougall, and we were having a conversation. And I was at the time still working as a librarian. I was retraining in nutrition, but I was still a librarian, and we were bouncing back and forth about some of the mischief in the publishing of the peer-reviewed literature, and how, where you've got to go and look for the information about conflict of interest, because it's not often in the paper. And he turned to someone next to him around the table and said, with his finger again, never mess with a librarian. And I've just felt that's just been the most wonderful thing I ever heard from him. We then met him again in 2016, and I think that was I'd had an unfortunate injury, being an accident with a dog in late 2015.
That was someone else's dog. Actually, a missile disguised as a dog.
And so, I was recovering, but as a little treat, Malcolm booked us a holiday to Hawaii again.
On a McDougall adventure
adventure.
Holiday on the island of Kauai.
And my memory from that week, there was one morning when most of the group had gone out ziplining, and I thought, no, that's a bit dangerous. That the pins and plates in my leg wouldn't have been a good idea to have anything impacting. And so I sat with Dr. McDougall, and I was discussing with him, with my library background, ways that he could maybe better store or manage his information. And he showed me on his laptop where everything was, and I saw the extent of his what was then a digital library. So this was in January 2016, and he very kindly, he turned to me and said, "Do you have a USB?" And I said, "Yes," and ran off to get one. And he said, he gave it to me. He downloaded nearly his entire digital library. And that was quite
complete with annotations.
And because some of it he digitized by scanning the articles into PDFs. And I could see in the margins of some of these articles his annotations. And I realised just how much he was on top of all of the scientific literature in nutrition dating back decades. That was just something that's always stuck with me, because over the years we've heard people being critical of Dr. McDougall for having this or that to say about something, and I've just always understood the depth of his knowledge. He's just it's hard to surpass what he knew about nutrition.
He was humble, though, just as many of us now feel like we stand on the shoulders of giants such as Dr. John McDougall. Dr. McDougall acknowledged the predecessors upon whose shoulders he stood. Nathan Pritikin was one. Dennis Burkett, Walter Kempner, someone else who did called Dr. Morrison. So McDougall acknowledged those people who had sort of influenced him and were mentors.
And he sure has influenced us. We never attended his what was then a 10-day program up until 2017, a live-in program. But we certainly studied it from afar, and that helped inform the development of our immersion program.
Oh, it was the inspiration. I think it was the inspiration for our live-in immersion retreat program that's blossomed into a 7-day event.
And and we're absolutely indebted to members of his team, the wonderful dietitian Jeff Novick and psychologist Dr. Doug Lyle, and certainly in our presentations we've taken on board a lot of what they say. And so that's been really important to us. And we could say, we can't quite see my T-shirt, but we are very much McDougallers. We've been, we follow pretty much his way of eating. And we even wear these T-shirts into the gym often, although, of course, most people don't understand. I think it's the food, but they don't know which food it is. And no one ever asks what food we're talking about. So the next I met him again. I really have been fortunate, and some of this has come about through various things. And I'm very grateful to my own mother, who in 2017 wanted to go to True North, and so I helped tee up the visit for both of us so that it lined up with the February 2017 Advanced Study Weekend, and we timed it beautifully. Flew into Santa Rosa for that 3-day weekend, and then tootled up the road to True North Health for a few weeks. And so that was the last time he ran the Advanced Study Weekend, and they were just fantastic, the people he would get in to speak. But in 2017, he had his wife Mary speak. She gave 2 separate lectures, and we just posted pictures up on our page of the love in his face when he was introducing her, and then at the end, after she'd given her first talk, it was what a partnership, and how devastating. Our hearts really go out to Mary and their children.
Well, yes, yeah, no, the rest of the family.
The grandchildren.
Heather McDougall's integral to running their programs.
Yeah, so we met him again just last year. He was
last September
at the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference, and he gave an inspiring, passionate talk, didn't he?
He did. It was the old McDougall, fired up and ready to go. It was actually the first public presentation he'd done for several years.
Well, he announced that at the conference, and
and some people, there might be some people out there who say, "Oh, he was only 77." Etc. Trying to be critical of the of his approach and things. We must remember that McDougall suffered some severe damage in a stroke that he had at age 18, and it was apparent when he was on stage and moving around that there was quite a lot of impairment of one leg and things. Nonetheless, that didn't slow down Dr. John McDougall. It didn't stop him riding his sailboard even when he lived in Hawaii.
Yes, so thank you all for your comments as we've been doing this live stream. I'm streaming to both YouTube and Facebook, so some of you are writing comments on YouTube and you won't necessarily see the ones on Facebook and vice versa, but it's lovely to have an audience just to make us do these things. I know we could have just done a talk to a video, but it's lovely having people watch us. And trying to think, is there anything else that we were going to comment on?
No, someone's commented about Dr. Lim. Yeah, Dr. McDougall for several years has sort of been taking a little bit of a back seat in his program. Had appointed Dr. Lim as the sort of chief doctor at the program. And so you can rest assured that the McDougall program will continue on, as had been his wishes and his plan.
And we will continue on our work, which is, let's say, strongly informed by Dr. McDougall. I'm not sure I said this, but when I did the Starch Solution Certificate, it really gave me the confidence to be able to stand up and talk in front of groups. I think that was the key to me being able to do that. And we did only, I think that October 2014 was the first time we ran one of our seminars, which back then was half a day. And so we're just so grateful to his work, and so very, very sad that he has gone all too soon. And condolences to everyone who has been touched by him and who is also very sad. Anything else you want to say? No, I haven't really got anything else to say. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you. We were planning another live stream. Actually, we've got two up. We're doing a live stream on sodium. The date will be announced. Okay, we'll say farewell. Thank you all for following or watching, if you're watching it after the live stream. Thank you and good night. Good night.